let's break the mold. Chasing the stories yet untold. Passion ignites like a blazing fire. Knowledge takes us higher, higher. Out of the box where the wild ones play. We see the game in a whole new way. Living loud, hearts in motion. Sports with soul, pure devotion. The field's alive with endless dreams. We're more than stats, we're the in-between. A slam dunk thought.
What's up, New York Mets fans? The Bat Fry, Kenny Fry here with the Bat Cave, Out of the Box Sports Entertainment. Check us out on YouTube, Facebook, X, at OOT Box Sports or Out of the Box Sports Entertainment. Give us a like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we'll appreciate it very much. Hit that notification bell on YouTube. Comment, throw your comments out there. Not live today. I'm doing a recording. It's hard to find time to do a recording, a live session, so I just do a recording here real quick. And throw your comments on here, and I'll answer as much as I can. So today's recording is brought to you by our friend, good friend here, Jason Fine, attorney Big Al. You can reach Big Al at 1-800-HURT-123. That's 1-800-HURT-123. Jason Fine specializes in motor vehicle accidents, slip and falls, and workman's comp and personal injury claims. He has 3 office locations located throughout Pennsylvania and New Jersey. His office in New Jersey is located at 3 Greensward Lane in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. The phone number there is 856-209-5258, and he has 2 offices in Pennsylvania, one in Pittsburgh, located at 500 Grand Street, Suite 2900. The phone number there is 412-365-8151, and one in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, on 1628 JFK Boulevard, Suite 2120. The phone number there is 267-888-2980. That's Jason Fine, attorney Big Al. All right, welcome back. Rough start for the Mets this season. 7-7 right now. 500. I mean, and the thing is, you don't want to hit the panic button with so many off-season moves and stuff like that. I feel like it's going to take a while before the machine really starts clicking. You just hope everybody stays healthy enough in the meantime, and that seems to be the biggest issue right now is health. A couple guys, Soto injured, Polanco dealing with some stuff. Then last night we saw Clay Holmes leave the game early after 5 1/3 innings pitch with a lower leg injury. Looks like a calf. And thankfully, I think it was Holmes came out and said that it doesn't seem to be too serious, kind of a precaution last night. But you could tell it was bothering him. He was pitching phenomenally again, looking great. And then in the 6th inning, you could see it start bothering him, and it was affecting his effectiveness. So a bit of a bummer there, a big bummer, I should say. But if he happens to miss a start or two, that leaves an opening for somebody to jump in there. I don't think Sean Manaea should be that guy, but we could look at Jonah Tong or somebody else. So I think that could be a good thing. Bring those guys up. I think from what I heard last night during the broadcast, I could have swore one of the guys, Gary Keith Aron, mentioned that Jonah Tong, his last outing was very good. First outing in AAA. Bit of a rough start, but then second one very good. So it could be an option. I don't think it should be Sean Manaea. I like the role Sean Manaea is in right now. Unless you have Sean Manaea come in, pitch the first 3, and then pull him. I think that's who he is now. I have a really hard time seeing Sean Manaea as anything but that kind of pitcher. The velocity's not there, and I don't want to say he gets tired, but second, third time through the order, they're on his stuff, and just like last season. So, but he's pitched great, very great, very good, piggybacking off Peterson, and David Peterson. His last outing started out awful, but I really thought, I didn't hear this too much from other Mets fans or other podcasters, but I really thought he rebounded nicely. The first, I think, I don't know, 2 innings or so, whatever it was. He really got knocked around. He got hit hard, but I feel like he really settled in. But unfortunately, the damage was already done there, and the Mets faltered. So But Manaea came in, and I thought he pitched very well. Nice change of pace, and he's looked decent so far in the role that he's in as that piggyback guy for Peterson, and I feel like he should continue doing something like that. Tobias Myers last night came in after Holmes got hurt. Tough situation to be in, but I thought he did well as well. Came in, he got out of that inning, pitched I think the next 1 or 2 innings, pretty well, and then he got knocked around a bit. Maybe he left in a little bit too long, but it is what it is. But good old Richard Lovelady came in and shut the door. But unfortunately, there is no offense. The Mets have zero offense right now. And that's just a monster bugaboo. And I'm not going to be one of those fans to go back and say, like, well, if we would have kept Alonso and McNeil and Nimmo, things would be different. You don't know. You can't go back and do that. Nimmo right now playing fantastic. You've seen the flying squirrel. Jeff McNeil made his return last night to Citi Field. Great to see him. I'm a big McNeil fan. I like McNeil. I like his his quirkiness and his attitude, his angry flying squirrel persona he got going on there. I do like Jeff McNeil. I really do. I thought he was a very good outfielder, a very good fielder altogether, a very good infielder, and a decent outfielder, I should say. And but the infield, I thought that he thrived at second base, but for whatever reason, the Mets just didn't think he was a viable option anymore. But 2 hits last night against the Mets, a couple of great plays in the infield, and there it is. Jeff McNeil show, great video tribute to him. I gave a little tip of the cap when he was up to bat for the Mets fans that were cheering. And I was on the fence. I didn't know how Mets fans were going to react to McNeil. There was a lot of venom towards McNeil last season, just because of the way he acted and kind of like a petulant crybaby, perhaps. Some might view it. I just viewed it as the guy wants to win, the guy wants to do well, and sometimes he let his emotions get the better of him. And but I can appreciate that, and a lot of people couldn't appreciate that, which is fine. That's who you are. But it was great to see him out there and getting the recognition that I feel like he deserved, and not get any kind of boos, or at least that you could hear on the broadcast anyway. So very cool to see that. Great job by the Mets fans there that showed up to the game. And but yeah, offensively, it's non-existent. It was great to see Carson Bench get a nice hit last night, because it felt like he's been pretty close. He's hit some balls, pretty sharply recently. Just haven't found any holes. And he's also had some at bats that looked pretty poor, pretty bad. But it was nice to see him get that hit last night. And unfortunately, the Mets couldn't really turn it into anything. They were getting shut out last night 4-0 against the Athletics. And it would appear the Athletics back-to-back shutouts. It would appear that they could be an up-and-coming team. So watch out for the Athletics. I mean, recent history shows the Athletics as being a very poor franchise, but that's recent history. You expand that 10, 15 years. They have had a lot of good seasons over the years with not a lot of money spent. Making playoffs and battling and just coming up short. Recent history, recent memory of them trying to get out of Oakland or trying to get a stadium deal just has not gone their way, and a lot of talent dump, a lot of salary dump. I guess I don't know why they would do it, but to get out of debt, or I don't know. I don't know why they make the moves that they've made over the recent 5 years or what have you to make them just look absolutely horrific. But before that, they were a decent franchise. I don't want to say a perennial playoff team, but very close to it. At least in the mix every year. So historically, they're not a badly ran franchise. They just don't spend the money. Whether or not they have the money to spend, I'm not sure. So we'll see what happens with the collective bargaining agreement, what happens there if they do push for a salary cap, which I hope they don't. But, I don't know. I don't know which way this is going to go. I see football. I see how it works in football and stuff like that, and hockey and whatnot. And I think it's good. I don't like seeing contracts like Juan Soto's, where it's, almost $800 million. And in the end, and if he stays with the Mets, it will be over $800 million. And I don't like seeing contracts like that. I don't like seeing the contracts like the hockey players get. I feel like those guys should get more, but that's the sport that they're in. You know, the hockey doesn't generate the revenue that Major League Baseball does, and all that good stuff. The same thing, you know, football, you know, with their salary cap, you know, a lot of those teams work it really well, but you still have teams in smaller markets that tank or don't spend the money just because they're not looking at it to win. They're looking at it to make money. They look at it as a money grab. And you're still going to get that even with the salary cap in Major League Baseball. So I'm on the fence about it. I think it would be decent for Major League Baseball to get a salary cap to kind of even out the playing field a little bit. But still, I mean, you had the Royals beat the Mets back in, it was 2016 in the World Series, small market team. I believe they're in the playoffs last year. Again, the small market teams can compete. It's they have to do it a different way than the larger market teams do. Like, you know, like they're like the Yankees, Mets, Phillies, Dodgers, obviously. You know, Dodgers, great roster. They're not unbeatable. They're definitely not unbeatable. You know, injuries happen, you know, slumps happen, stuff like that. It's just that their talent pool, high talent pool, is deeper than what a small market team's talent pool would be. But it can happen. So it's I'm on the fence about it. I like my team being able to go out and throw $1 billion at a player and get them. I like that. But then again, it's like, you know, you look at the smaller teams, like you want them to compete as well. You know, the Pittsburghs of the world. You know, I again that's a prime franchise there. It looks like, you know, a team that's only in it for, you know, to make money off of it, not to win games or win for their fans or whatever. And then they throw that money at their rookie, whose name escapes me right now. I was just called up. I think it was 8 years, $140 million, which is the largest contract they've ever doled out. And that's something the Mets use to wipe their butts with, basically. So we'll see what happens with the collective bargaining agreement. Either way, I think next year's going to suck ass. I think it expires at the end of this season. I could be wrong about that, but the way everybody's talking, it's going to be a lockout and it's going to be a work stoppage and all that stuff, and that sucks. It sucks for the sport, and it sucks for the fans especially, and it hurts the sport. I mean, for myself, I'm a huge Kings fan. I'm wearing my Kings t-shirt, huge Kings fan, and I loved hockey growing up. I loved watching hockey, loved the Kings. When they had their lockout, I stopped watching hockey for a large chunk of years. And unfortunately, the Kings won 2 Stanley Cups in that time frame. But I stopped watching hockey then because, you know, I'm like, you know what? You know, this sucks. You know, no hockey's on. And eventually came on after that lockout during that season, I believe. I don't think they canceled the full season, but it came back on. I think it was halfway through the season, but I wasn't invested anymore. I think they lost a lot of fans like that. And it took a long time before they were able to get to the point where they're at now, where I think it's a phenomenal sport. It absolutely is. It deserves more eyes, deserves more notoriety. And I feel like it's getting more popular as the seasons go by. But if there was another lockout to happen, it would reset them all the way back, you know, to I don't know if it was the mid 2000s. I think it was when the lockout happened. And I think the same thing would happen to baseball. We seen it. Was it 97? I think it was when the World Series was canceled due to the lockout. I mean, we seen it. And the only thing that brought baseball back was steroids. Was the McGwire-Sosa home run battle, which was phenomenal for baseball. And which is unfortunate because then they those guys that they used that I feel like they knew were on steroids, they, you know, crumbled up into a ball and threw off to the side now. A lot of those guys not able to get in the Hall of Fame, even though they more than deserve it. They saved the game. Nobody wanted to go watch baseball after, you know, the money-hungry owners and players, you know, fought and bickered and whined. You missed a World Series and all that stuff. Nobody wanted to watch baseball after that. They put the asses back in the seat and Major League Baseball spit on them. So anyway, I just feel like that's where we could be heading. You know, like this could set baseball back to the Stone Ages, back to the 90s, which is the Stone Ages now. I'm old. But yeah. Anyway, back to the Mets. So I kind of lost track what I was talking about. But yeah, I'm not going to be one of those guys to say if McNeil and Alonso and Nimmo were still here, that'd be different. It wouldn't be different. It's what happens. You know, Pete's off to a really slow start in Baltimore, and a lot of that could be due to just different surroundings. You know, it takes a while for guys to get used to that. So you look at that, and you look at all the guys that we brought in. It takes time. It takes time to build a rapport. It takes time to get used to your surroundings. It takes time to settle in. and hopefully, because a lot of these guys are many years over veterans here in the league, hopefully they're able to settle in quicker, sooner rather than later. At least as from my standpoint as a Mets fan, I'm sure other fans in the league probably think otherwise. But from my standpoint, hopefully they're able to settle in much sooner rather than later and figure this shit out. So, but yeah, our bullpen has been pretty good, barring last night's collapse and the night before when Nolan McLean pitched an absolutely awesome game. I mean, that guy he's going to be something special. Hopefully nothing. I don't want to jinx him or anything like that, but hopefully he's able to stay healthy his whole career because he is going to be something freaking special. And just watching him pitch against the Diamondbacks, he was phenomenal. The way he moved that ball, the spin rates and all that good stuff, absolutely phenomenal. And for the bullpen to come in and kind of give it away the way they did, it was ugly. So that's that. Bullpen overall so far this season, barring the last two games, has been pretty good. Richard Lovelady, hate on the guy as much as you want. He does a job when he comes in. A lot of times it's coming in a shit situation where he's got to eat some innings and eat some outs and makes him look terrible. But I feel like he serves a very important role right now on this team. And I would expect, over the next few weeks, as you get deeper into a season, that you don't see Richard Lovelady anymore. I feel like he's there to kind of save some bullpen arms, save some bullpen innings for some older guys, the arms and stuff like that. He's an eater, is what I'm getting at. I'm stumbling over my words here. He's an eater. He's an eater right now. And where later in the season, you're down 2 runs, maybe you bring, 2 people on, maybe you bring a Brooks Raleigh in to kind of try to save that to make things not blow up on you. But right now, it's early in the season. You can afford to throw Dickie Lovelady out there. Maybe he gets out of it. Maybe he doesn't get out of it, but you're saving innings off of Brooks Raley. If that makes sense. It makes sense to me. If that makes sense to you, awesome. If it doesn't, sorry. So, but offensively, the Mets are absolutely horrific right now. Absolutely horrific. Lindor is off to his prototypical slow start. I don't hear too much griping or whining from Mets fans about that because it's expected. Basically, if you're not expecting it, then you haven't been watching the last, since he's been a Met. Basically, he every season he gets off to the super slow start, and around June, he kicks it into high gear and he becomes the Francisco Lindor we all know and love. And I still expect that as soon as Soto comes back in that up the lineup, and then the guys did a great job again bringing that up. Since Soto's been out of the lineup, Lindor hasn't had a single walk. So stuff like that, very important. That's the kind of stuff that the $800 million Juan Soto brings to the table for your team is the guys before and after. Seeing better pitches, or seeing better pitches and getting on base more often. Guys because they're more focused on Juan Soto because the guy's just a world beater. As much as I don't like Juan Soto. I'm not a big Juan Soto fan, but after watching him for a full season last year, dude's pretty good. So I'm not going to say he's the best player in baseball, but he's pretty damn good. But at the bottom of our lineup, atrocious. Last night, a couple 0 for 4s. Let me pull it up here real quick. I want to say Semien was 0 for 4. Let me double check here before I start spouting out stats that aren't factual. Right there. I guess basically the middle of our lineup. Beatty 0 for 4. He did have a couple well-struck balls though. A couple strikeouts. Semien 0 for 4. Ronnie Mauricio 0 for 3. He didn't look good, I didn't think at all. Did have the game-winning hit against Arizona a couple days ago, but still, and again, injuries. Guys needing to sit already. It's kind of where we're at. Like I mentioned earlier, it's nice to see Carson Bench finally get another hit. He's really struggling there. He's been hitting the ball hard, and it was nice to see him get a hard hit ball that actually falls in, and he's able to get on base. Lindor 1 for 4, Bichette 1 for 4, Young 1 for 4, Luis Robert Jr. 1 for 4. Luis Robert Jr. He's impressed me. He's had a lot of really good at bats and a lot of well struck balls that didn't fall in, a lot of well struck balls that have fallen in. But he's been impressive so far, Luis Robert Jr. I really liked what I've seen from him. Bo Bichette, he'll figure it out. It's just one of the things. It sucks waiting for him to figure it out because you really need him right now. Jared Young, it is what it is. I thought he played a very good first base last night. And speaking of defense, Lindor, the guys were really harping on Lindor last night about not being able to turn that double play. I don't know. I've never been a shortstop, so I've never really had to work on footwork or focus on footwork. But it all comes down to footwork with him not being able to turn that double play. So if he gets the proper footwork, does he make the play? I don't know. It's hard to say he would or wouldn't. It was a very close play without the proper footwork. So you'd think with the proper footwork, with him able to get a little extra on the throw, maybe he does get it. I don't know. So it's hard to say there. But going back to the game before against the Diamondbacks, earlier in that game, who was it? It was Keith Ron and was it Gelbs that was in the broadcast booth with them? But anyway, I think Gelbs was in the booth with them. But it doesn't matter. They were talking about how the Mets were third in the league with defensive runs saved, which is what they preached in the offseason, which is what Stearns preached in the offseason, defensive runs saved. And I talked about this last time I was on the Bat Cave about how nonsensical it is to go out and preach defensive runs saved, and then you have your third baseman playing right field and having a shortstop who by all means was not a good shortstop, led the league in errors last year, playing third base and having a career. What was that, Polanco? Was he an outfielder or no? He was a shortstop. A shortstop playing first base, like just plugging guys, plug and play. That it's not the way to go. And I'm not going to get back into that. I think it's nonsensical to say you're in it for defensive runs saved to not re-sign your franchise's all-time home run leader because you're talking about defensive runs saved and you don't want to see, you don't think he's going to age well after at the end of the contract and whatever. Nonsense to me. I think that's all bullshit nonsense. And I still think it is. And I'll continue thinking it is, no matter how the season turns out. But looking back on that, the ball that went over Brett Beatty's head, 99% of the outfielders would not have had that ball. Now there are a few that would have caught that ball, but very, very, very few. So I don't look at Beatty and kind of look at that and say, if there would have been Carson Bench out there, or if it would have been Tyrone Taylor out there. Probably not. Those guys probably wouldn't have caught it either. But Beatty got a lot of flack for that ball going over his head, and I don't think that's on him. It didn't look good, but and then there was a hit that got past Jared Young in left field, and again, I think Jared Young is by trade a first baseman, but he's been playing first and outfield the last couple seasons down in AAA. I think I could be wrong about that, but a guy that probably doesn't belong in the outfield, but with injuries, with their lineup, their roster, the way it is right now, it is what it is. That's where we're at. And then the Vientos at first base. And don't get me wrong, I was extremely skeptical of Vientos playing first base. I'm like the guy wasn't a great third baseman. The way these analytical baseball minds have run down the position of first base, they like poo-poo first base. Yes, that's right. I said poo-poo. They poo-poo first base. Basically saying, well, anybody can play first base. Anybody with a glove and half a brain can play first. That's how I feel that they look at first base, which they're totally wrong. There's so much that goes into that position. It may not be as technical as a shortstop or a third baseman or an outfielder or whatever, but there's still a lot that goes into playing first base. And I just feel like that they don't view it as that. They just view it as any moron with a glove can play first base. So that's where they plug and play guys in there. Not saying that the guys they put at first base are morons, but they feel like they can take anybody from any other position, just put them at first base, and it'll be fine. It'll work itself out. We hit some grounders at them, they'll figure it out. So with that being said, Mark Vientos playing a phenomenal first base. I feel like he's really fit into that role very nicely so far. I like seeing him at first base. I'd rather see him there than Polanco. But we do need Polanco to hit the ball when he is in the lineup. So whatever. I'm fine with Polanco being DH. But anyway, the throw Vientos missed at home is should be set up perfectly for him with it being the third baseman. It's strong arm, should know where to put the ball. But him to throw it behind, I think it was Alvarez catching at that time. And that let the run in. If he throws that ball out in front where it should be, given that the catcher an opportunity to make the tag as the runner's coming in, the dude's out. In my opinion, dude's out. If he makes the correct throw, but he throws it behind the catcher, one bounce, I believe, too. That I love Pete Alonso, but that's a Pete Alonso throw, basically. That's a Pete Alonso throw. So it's you think he's a third baseman, strong arm. The big knock on Pete was his defense. He can't throw the ball. Then we have this guy from third base playing first base, playing a decent first base, can't throw the ball. So where are we at then? You know what I mean? It's the same thing as when Pete was there. And I thought Pete played a decent first base as well. Did he make some stupid ass errors? Yeah, dude couldn't throw for some reason. I don't know why, but for the most part, Pete, digging balls out, making some nice, diving plays and all that stuff, did a very good job at first base. Whatever. That's it for that. So anyway, we move on today. Mets' second game of the 3-game set against the Athletics here at Citi Field. Let me check real quick who the Mets have going for them. I want to make sure I'm right so I don't just spit out crap and be wrong about it. It's a 4:10 start. Pitching for the Mets, you have Senga. That's right. It's Senga day. I've really liked what Kodai Senga has done. I thought he's looked very good so far in his couple starts against Lopez for the A's. So that's where we're at. Lopez versus Senga. Yeah. 4:10 start. Hopefully the Mets are able to rebound, score some damn runs. But again, the A's pitching has looked pretty good recently, so they're not going to make it easy. They're not going to make it easy. All right. So that's all I have on this recording. I will be live Wednesday. I promise I will be live Wednesday. So check me out live. I appreciate it for you guys checking out this recording. Check us out of the Box Sports on YouTube and Facebook. Facebook, Out of the Box Sports Entertainment. YouTube at OOT Box Sports. You can see it up there in the corner at OOT Box Sports on YouTube, or just type in Out of the Box Sports Entertainment and that will come up. Or my podcast channel at the Bat Fry Pods. See it over there at the Bat Fry Pods. Give me a like, follow, but check out of the Box Sports and all the other shows that we have on there. The Cowboy show should be coming back. I'll be doing a Silver and Black Layer show this week, talking about the draft and the signing of Kirk Cousins and what that means for Aiden O'Connell and Fernando Mendoza if the Raiders do draft Fernando Mendoza and all that good stuff. So, and also be sure to check out the Soli Squad Mondays as they talk 4for4 Philly sports. The Flyers on a playoff hunt here. They looks like they should grab a playoff spot, and it's not over yet. I think they're only ahead by the Islanders by a point, but yeah, it's coming down to the nitty gritty. So, all right, I'll check you guys out later. Be sure to tune into the Bat Cave on Wednesday, 9 a.m., and I'll see you guys then. Thank you. Let's go, Mets.
Strong, let's break the mold. Chasing the stories yet untold. Passion ignites like a blazing fire. Knowledge takes us higher, higher. Out of the box where the wild ones play. We see the game in a whole new way. Living loud, hearts in motion. Sports with soul, pure devotion. Alive with endless dreams. We're more than stats with